So, Toxic Avenger, I watched Toxic Avenger Part 2 recently, and it was a strange movie, but for Shud September, I thought I'd go back and watch the whole thing, the whole franchise, as much as possible, which is on Shudder, which is the first 4 movies. I did want to see a new movie, but I didn't manage to, or haven't yet, because it's only on here in Wickham, which is about an hour away by bus, and it's on 8:40 at night, and I can't really be bothered to go see it that time. So I thought I'd go back and watch it from the start. So I actually was a guy who owned some of the toys when I was younger and watched the cartoon, but I remember ever watching the live action version. And yeah, here's my thing for this. I don't think it's good. I think the fact that it's called a cult classic says more about the state of like low budget sort of cult horror in the 80s more than anything, because this is not a cult classic by any stretch of imagination. But I think it's definitely a movie of 2 halves. The first half, well, 3/3, I guess, like 33% each. I think the first part, okay. So I think the first part is crap. It's the part where before he becomes Toxic Avenger and it's all teenage stuff. I think it's crap, and it's really badly acted and shot and directing. I know it's going for an over-the-top approach, but it's still really crap, because it's not funny in the slightest. That's the problem. If you're not funny with this sort of movie, then all you got is everything else, and that ain't what people really want. So I don't think that's a particularly good part. I think it's crap. I think you could brush through that in 5 minutes. It's very trauma, which is they don't really seem to ever actually have scripts, because this has a script. It was an embarrassing script, to be honest. So that part's crap. The next part is like where he's attacking people, and that's kind of also a bit crap, to be honest. And then when they introduce Sarah, love interest, it actually starts getting reasonably good, because there's a few good gags, there's a sweet chemistry between them, and it's something to latch on to. And if this was actually made by a proper movie company, they would have had that element throughout the movie, rather than just the tiny part. I know what people are going to say. It's like, no, but it's trauma, it's meant to be offensive. And so I'm like, yeah, I can do offensive, I can't deal with bad. And a lot of this movie is bad. That part that fuels us through the last part of the movie is actually pretty good. And I think the reason it's pretty good is that the woman playing Sarah is far, far better than she should be, or has any right to be in this role. So that's pretty cool. I like that dynamic. I think they could have done more with that, but they didn't. Also, the other thing that gets me is this movie is it feels like it's trying to be a bit straighter than Toxic Avenger 2. And look, I didn't really like Toxic Avenger Part 2 first time I watched it, but I did watch it without context of this, and in retrospect, I would give the movie Toxic Avenger Part 2 a higher mark, because, look, you get 2 routes to this. Either you can make a genuinely good version, which looks like they might have made in modern day one, or you can just go overboard with the stupidity and camp, but also do a good job with it, and I feel like this movie doesn't do that. I also think it's kind of misleading that this is the cover of the movie, because none of that's reflecting the actual movie proper. And I think one of the reasons Toxic Avenger is taking off is because it's a bit like Jason and Michael. Like, the idea and the realization that people have of characters, not how characters started. And I think a lot of the affection people have for the Toxic Avenger is the cartoon and the action figures, because this live action movie is not good at all. It's not a very good movie in the slightest, and I think it really cements one of my issues with Troma, where they just throw everything at the wall, and there's no real style or quality to any of it. It's just like, hey, look at this wacky shit. I mean, the bit with the gags about the Sunday, the food gags, where it's sort of like, he's a warm Sunday, and it's sort of like, it's just words. You need to have better execution than this. So yeah, I don't think this was particularly good. I think I'd go for a 2, because I thought some parts elevated the movie higher, but I thought it was just not succeeding what it was going for in the slightest. And if you told me if I was watching like these sort of movies when this came out, because obviously this isn't 18, and you told me that in 38 plus years, whatever, that this be a viable franchise, I'd laugh at you, because this is just, no, it's not good. It's not good. But in saying that, it's still high up on the list of Troma movies, which some of them are generally fucking awful. Excuses for cinema, but what can you do? That's my review. I'll be back tomorrow for Toxic Avenger Part 2. Hey, so if you're hearing this version of the review, I watched the Toxic Avenger Part 2 like a few weeks ago in England, and I thought it was not particularly great. And my plan was, as part of Shudder September, to watch it again. But I'm in a hotel in Manchester, and Shudder is not playing the fucking movie on my fucking phone, and it's telling me it's only available in the US, which is complete bollocks, complete shit. But Shudder seems to do that quite a bit because this app is actual fucking garbage. But whatever, I did watch it. The Toxic Avenger went to Tokyo, and it was a, for lack of a better term, problematic movie. Now, I'm going to try and recap what it's actually like to watch it again, but to watch it first time even. But I'm also going to use context of first movie because second one is far more comedic. It's more in style of something like Return of Killer Tomatoes, where it's like almost safe wearing these crap. And plays up. This movie was I remember it being really comedic, kind of racist, kind of sexist, kind of homophobic and transphobic at points, but also in some ways kind of progressive because most horror movies won't have any of those elements to them. In the 80s, this did. It was still problematic. I remember it being kind of over the top, but it was more comedic, I think. We'd try and be comedic. It wasn't particularly funny, but that was the goal. Was it offensive? I don't even know. There are parts which were offensive, not so much violence, but just the like badness. But also, it's kind of weird because remembering it in context of now having seen the first one, this doesn't really feel like follow up in the slightest to that movie. So this obviously deals with the environmental aspect, whereas first one dealt with like the bullies, I guess. So I don't even think they really make any sense as connected movies in the slightest. I think part of the problem is that this feels broad, but also the whole Toxic Avenger thing, it feels like this is more of a live action cartoon. The first one was more of a movie which was in some regard meant to be a horror movie, but they had like goofy elements to it, whereas this movie is just full of goofy elements from the start. Right down to the action sequences, which are bizarre, right down to dubbing, which is actually kind of genuinely offensive. And also the fact that this feels like it's like they knew that they wanted Toxic Avenger to be sort of more over the top, but they also didn't want to do a family friendly version, so you get like really silly over the top stuff, but then it's meant to be like a horror movie, but it's also not funny. It's not funny, it's too violent to be a cartoon for kids, but it feels like a cartoon for kids, and it just doesn't work. It just does not work, and also makes light of parts from the first movie which did work. I'm aware this isn't a particularly good review, but I'm fucking pissed off with Shudder for their terrible fucking app, which doesn't fucking work. So yeah. What did I enjoy having watched this? I don't really think I enjoyed anything. The idea of him going to Tokyo is an interesting idea, but apparently this and third movie, they shot way too much and just made hasty edits, which is the reason why this one doesn't make any sense. I think stuff about his dad in Japan is dumb. It's really, really dumb. And I think the fact that like the first movie had a bit more life to it in terms of satire, I think this movie wants to have that, but it's just so. Okay, here's the ultimate problem. Nothing in this movie could. It all could have been done. You could do a good version of this, but you need a good script. I ain't saying like got greatest actors on the planet or directors or anything, but you need a good script, and it doesn't have it. I think Truman's style is just throwing everything at wall and hoping what sticks. But it doesn't. It just strips off the wall. It's like their whole mantra is they really want to make stuff like Airplane or Naked Gun, where it's like joke after joke after joke that works. But Troma's like, hey, what if we threw this in and this thing, and what if we throw offensive joking? And so like, you can have stuff in like South Park show. You can have stuff which is offensive. It has to be funny. this ain't funny. This ain't it. And I think it goes further. Like, the success that James Gunn has had is because he's a good writer and a good director. And this ain't got good writing or good direction. It's just not got much of anything. It's like it just wants to offend, but it doesn't have the ability to be genuinely funny at the same time. And I'm not prude, but I just think these movies are just so... The Toxic Avenger characters succeeded despite these movies, because they're all pretty naff. Anyway, hopefully you won't be listening to this and I'll be able to watch the movie and do a fucking actual review, but somehow I doubt that's going to happen, so... Fuck you. Hey, so it turns out my rant about Toxic Avenger 2 was just because, like, Shudder apparently hates VPNs, which is, like, on the surface, I can't get it. You know, my rant about how they wouldn't play on fucking app because it kept saying it's only available in the US. Well, that's because of my VPN. Now, I know Shudder's probably one of these companies who doesn't want you exploiting it, but I was trying to use the UK VPN, and it still won't let me access Shudder, which is fucking stupid. But anyway, forget that. So I watched Toxic Avenger 3, Part 3, The Last Temptation of Toxie, and I actually did enjoy this movie. I think it's by far the best of all three movies. I think it's the one which has the clearest through line and is trying to do something different and actually interesting by being a bit more character focused. And yeah, it's a silly premise and it's a silly character and it's a trope movie. So you get usual bullshit in there. Thinly veiled homophobia, some really sexist stuff, some stuff which is kind of racist, to be honest. And you do get those parts, which are by far the worst parts of the movie, but you also get a decent idea, which is kind of trying for that sense of Robocop satire, especially with, like, the corporation. It doesn't entirely succeed, because, again, the problem is that these scripts are terrible. Like, the ideas are good, but the scripts are terrible, and they don't really have the ability to actually follow through with their ideas to get a truly great movie. I know some of these train ones have gotten good reviews and people say they're cult classics. I don't think you can put classic in front of any of these movies. I'd even say something like Pieces is better, despite the fact that Pieces in parts has an equally dumb script, but it seems to be less in on joke. And I think the problem is when you get something like Troma, it's like they think that by making it really obvious that you're not meant to take it seriously, it'll be better. But no, it's funnier if you do have a good script and elements to it which work. And these don't have good scripts. I mean, it goes back to something like Naked Gun. Naked Gun works because it has a good script and the jokes are funny. Robocop works because it has a good script and jokes are funny. This doesn't have a good script and jokes really aren't funny. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's elements to it I like. I do generally like this one more than the other ones. But at the same time, like, I think Troma tries too hard. I think they really do. And you have to admire the fact that, and I say this to someone who makes movies too, you have to admire the fact that they keep making these movies. Or they did stop for a long time. Anyway, we're talking about the 80s. You have to admire the fact that they keep going with it, and this is best one of all three. Again, because there are, for example, part where he's looking for a job, I could have had more of that, because I thought that's actually interesting. The action in this movie is, I mean, the opening bit of the video cassette store is pretty cool and has some cool death parts, but I really do think, their reach overextend. Their goals overextend their reach. And I think that, I don't know, I think it's one of those things, I think I said in the other reviews, this has more personality than a big budget version would normally have, and I include the new one that I haven't seen it yet, but the problem is that it has more of a personality, but quality's not there. And I think if you gave this to some like 1980s Paul Verhoeven, I think he would have made something incredible. And as I said in the other reviews as well, I think the selling point for these movies is the character of Toxic Avenger is a great character. He's just stuck in these movies which bottom out are pretty good. And that's a shame, because I think the reason why he took so long to really get sort of like a rebooted version was because the like character has name value, but franchise has none. And it's when they brought RoboCop back, it actually was pretty. It was an okay movie, but I don't think you can really. It'd probably be better if you did that, but I think the trauma. I don't even know what I'm saying. I think it's pretty good. I think this was as good as they can possibly get with making a genuinely decent movie. And I did enjoy it more than the other ones, a lot more. So anyway, there's my review, because to be honest, I don't really want to talk too much about Troma. This one gets 3 out of 5. I can do without a lot of the homophobia, racism and sexism. I'd prefer some better jokes, but I don't really think they're capable of doing that. But this was best of all 3 so far, so recommend. And be back tomorrow with Toxic Avenger Part 4. Oh, sweet Jesus, how am I going to get 5 minutes out of this? Okay, so, this is Citizen Toxie, the 4th Toxic Avenger movie, I think, although it fucking ignores the other ones. It ignores 2 and 3, and that's like, this is the real sequel, and I'm going to be honest, if Lloyd Kurtzman, Michael Hurt, Lloyd Kaufman, whatever his name is, if they think if this is their particular choice for, like, if they genuinely think this is the only sequel to their movie, they are off their nut. This is a staggeringly terrible movie by every metric. And I'm being dead serious here. This is legitimately one of the worst things I have ever seen. And, okay, so I'm going to preface it part of, I'm not offended by stuffing movies. Like, you can have stuffing moving, I can disagree on a profound level, but if your movie's good, fine, whatever. Like, I grade it on the movie actually being good, because I think there are certain movies where they'll have scenes which are objectionable, and they'll have scenes with, for lack of a better term, not PC. And they can still be good movies, because I think art works beyond that point. But this ain't funny, this ain't well written, this ain't anything other than just like, we're going to put the lowest base garbage in the movie, and we're not going to do anything with it. It's just like, here's stuff which we think will shock people, and it shocks me because it's atrocious, and it's bad, and it's dumb, and it's not trying to say anything. It's what they accused Howard Stern of, the shock jock thing, for years, but it's just garbage. I'm sorry, it's appalling. It's actually embarrassing that this exists and is a movie and is on a platform like this. It's actually embarrassing. Now, if people want to watch it, that's fine. I don't think anything should be censored or banned, to be honest. And I'm not saying it should be censored or banned. I'm saying this is atrocious. And it's actually annoys me a little how bad it is, because the first movie is actually pretty good, and this is just awful in every way. Writing, acting, directing. I'm fully aware that I've made the Bubba Batcher movies, and I ain't saying they're great art by any stretch, but the one thing I will say is, like, you can think they're bad, but you will never be able to convince me that they're worse than this. This is just a waste of money. It's just appalling. It's just the way it disregards the few things that the stuff that first movie gets right. The fact that it disregards all those things and goes, oh, we'll reboot. And just, I don't get it. It's just awful. It's like, it's literally the worst nosedive in quality from one sequel to the next sequel that I've ever seen in my life. It's so bad. I really, 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 really hate Troma. I really, just the fact that their stuff is just bloody awful. Majority of it's not anything, just terrible. And the heads up is like midnight cult classics, and I don't get it. It's just bad. It's just bad, and it's lazy, and it's I mean I know making movies takes work, but you just watch this and you're like, no one did more than one take. It's like the worst jokes told in the worst way, with actors given so little direction that it's just noise. Appalling in every single way, and I'm so happy there's no more goddamn Toxic Avenger Troma movies on this bloody platform. But Shudder, seriously, you say you curate movies. I know you've put these up because the new movies come out, but I mean, really, this is shit. I'm so annoyed. And I don't like being negative about people's movies, but that's just bloody awful excuse for a movie. And hey, if you like it, that's cool. I like some terrible movie. I love Fatal Deviation. It's a terrible movie, but the only thing I say is, if you do like this, don't get upset over this level of criticism. I'm sorry, but they know what they did, and they did this. One of the worst movies I've ever. I didn't even make Gent. And one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I mean, I just, I'm so. I'm serious. Like, zero. Just a zero. I can find good in most things. This, appalling. I would be fucking mortified if I had this system on my IMDb credits. Zero. I'm fighting you to go into minus figures because I've never done that before for a movie. But it's so goddamn close. One of the worst movies ever made. Just absolute crap. I know this is technically cheating, given I've seen this movie so many goddamn times and covered it so many times this channel, and on the awesome Our Life in Horror channel, Sam and Brendan, I covered it as well, and every which way but loose. But I really need a win after how incredibly terrible Toxic Avenger 4 was. You know how bad it was? I actually decided not to go to the cinema tonight. I was going to see Honey Don't. I'm recording this on Monday because I was so fed up. After I was like, you know what? I'm tired. I can't risk seeing something. Like, it's like what we did at university when we watch a god awful movie and then we watch something like Robocop or Fly because needed to come back up. I went so far down, I needed a guaranteed win, and this is it. This is one of my favourite movies of all time. It holds up. Even as a background watch, it's like an easy 4 out of 5 without even focusing on it. And also, it's a movie I can talk about for hours and hours and hours. But I think what I really like is, after how bloody awful Toxic Avenger 4 was, I was tempted to just stop doing these altogether and just concede defeat. And I'm glad I didn't, because there is some awesome stuff on Shudder. Like, they're the guys who put this through. They're one of the groups who financed this, I think, and distributed it and got it to cinemas. Which is amazing. It's like proof that you can make a genuinely good independent horror movie nowadays. And it restored my faith in their platform, because I'll pull up with 1 billion Toxic Avenger 4s if you make stuff like this. For those who don't know, yeah, again, it's one of my favourite movies. I think what I like most about it is it's just good. I mean, it really feels like it hits the spot in terms of being a very accurate representation of a chat show in the 70s, but also just generally good on its own merits. Like, it's good acting, it's good writing, it's just a good movie. I mean, I'd say it's more than a good movie, I'd say it's a great movie. But I think probably the thing I like most about it is it's a vibe movie. It's definitely one of those where a lot of it is you're just hanging out watching the characters on show and behind the scenes stuff, but you just like spending time with these characters. And it's rare that you get like a hangout horror movies. Usually they're very, very tightly plotted. And I suppose this one is, in terms of like, it's got a loose feel, but it's quite tightly plotted in terms of what happens and payoffs and things like that. But it feels like you are just watching an episode of a chat show from the 70s. And as someone who grew up watching a lot of British chat shows, this definitely has that feel. And it's very similar to stuff like, Ghostwatch, which is, oh God, I love Ghostwatch. I should definitely, and I'll cover one, WNUF, Halloween specials. I love that one too. I just love that whole vibe. I love that sense of like, you're making something which feels so real and then goes batshit insane. It's brilliant. But I think this has to one up overlap because, I mean, I obviously grew up watching Parkinson. So on one hand, it does have the effect of like, oh no, it's shocking, it's horrifying. But on the other hand, it's sort of like, yeah, it's like you see Craig Charles in cast too. And I like this one because it doesn't pretend to be an actual documentary, but it mostly features actors. I mean, obviously, the lead guy is pretty well known because of Ant-Man and Suicide Squad and loads of other things. He's a really good actor. And June is in June too. But like most other cast is made of people who aren't quite so well known. I mean, probably second most high known guy in the entire cast is Michael Ironside, and he just does narration. And to be honest, I didn't even know it's him first time. I knew the voice. I knew the voice from somewhere, but I didn't actually know it's him. So what I think is, for me, like, this movie is just, I love it. I just genuinely love it, and I talked about it for ages, and I have. I'm talking about it again. I think it's the execution too. It just feels so fluid. And one of the other things I really love is I love movies like Jobs, where it's like a behind the scenes almost look, where you're not so much, I mean, this obviously does focus on the on-air parts, but it just, the way it just shows you the entire show, including the behind the scenes stuff, it's just so cool. It's like one of my favourite types of movies, where it's like almost capturing a moment in time. It's something Aaron Sorkin's really, really, really good at. I suppose that's the only thing you could say. It's so accurate in trying to portray 1970s style chat show that some dialogue isn't quite as sharp as it could have been. But then maybe that's the point, because it's clearly not as good as like Carson Tonight Show in any stretch. It's like a bunch of, not amateurs, but like people just below that level. Trying to make a chat show. So obviously it's going to be kind of a bit naff, a bit goofy. But man alive, I love this movie. And it's the perfect tonic after a shit movie like Toxic Avenger 4. This one is like, even on background watches, it's like 4 out of 5. On actual watches, it's 5. So if you have Shudder, put this on. You might have to sit for a lot of adverts at the start, but the movie is worth it.